All right, so this is going to be my first ever YouTube video, but I'm going to be approaching it in this channel like a case study breakdown, like documenting my journey. I'm not going to be editing these videos, not really going to be removing anything or anything like that. Um, I'm not trying to position myself as some like guru or mentor in the info space or something like that. I don't run a coaching program. I don't have a course. I don't have anything to sell you, quite frankly. Um, well, that's a lie, actually. I do have something to sell you. Well, I don't have something to sell you, but like obviously, if you're a growth operator, you can apply to have me help you. But I'm not like teaching you with modules or anything like that. But that's besides the point. We'll kind of get right into it, right? The reason why I'm making this YouTube video is to really, the reason why I'm making this YouTube channel is to document my journey in the info product space, the results that I'm getting with my clients, and essentially just my point of view on the industry. And yeah, just kind of taking you guys along for the ride. So essentially in this video, I'm just going to be starting off by sharing my point of view on the info product space as a whole going into 2026. And then my point of view as a growth operator, and then my point of view on the growth operating space going into 2026, because I think that there's just a lot going on. I think there's a lot of problems. And I think that there's a good amount of ways to combat those problems heading into 2026. And I believe that the people that do that, whether you're a course owner, a mentor, consultant, like you run your own info product, or you're a growth op yourself, I believe that if you implement these things, that you'll be able to combat all of those problems, going into 2026. So that's essentially what I'm going to break down in this video. So kind of just giving you guys some context, giving you guys a little bit about my background as to who I am, and kind of the results that I've been able to acquire in the space. If you go and check out my Instagram and even the other YouTube video that I have, I've documented pretty much every single launch that I've ever done. I've had videos where I've done $55,000 in a single day with a beauty info product client. I've done about $50,000 in 5 days with an Airbnb arbitrage coach. I've done $28,000 in 4 days with another beauty info product client as well, with zero ad spend. All of these and other ones as well have been documented and posted on my Instagram. Full documentation of the launch strategy and showcasing the results. I'm not going to have any flashy edits in this video or anything like that, because I'm just trying to share this completely raw and genuine to you guys. So if you care to see those results and launch strategies, you can check out my other YouTube video, or you can go to my Instagram channel. But basically, that's essentially what I do. Before info, I was running a medical spa marketing agency. It's called Scaled Spas. If you go and look up my Instagram, Scaled Spas, you can also check that out as well. I had over like 2,000 followers on that page. I have tons of results from that agency posted, over 3 highlight reels on my Instagram stories, full of results for my clients. I was doing lead gen for my clients, appointment setting for my clients, implementing setters to their business. I was doing sales training for my clients. I was doing a lot, right? At the peak, I was making about like $45,000 a month with my agency. But the cost of my team were relatively pretty high. The cost to run the business were relatively pretty high. And ultimately, that's why I switched over to info. And I leveraged the authority and the position that I held in the beauty space, specifically aesthetics, being the fact that I had that Instagram, I had those results, and I found my first info client, my first 2 info clients in the beauty space, thus allowing me to get the $50,000 in a day case study with a webinar using a beauty info client, and then allowing me to get the $28,000 in 4 days without any ad spend with a beauty info client. That's how I got those 2 clients, and then that using those results, that's how I got my other clients after that. And now at the current time of me making this video, I have 5 clients total, all like running their own coaching programs. Some of them B2B, some of them B2C. And my job as the growth operator coming into the business is basically to handle the marketing acquisition and the sales acquisition, to take the offer from where it is now to upwards to 6 figures per month, multiple 6 figures per month, using a variety of funnels, and then documenting all of that, sharing it with you guys as we go. So that's essentially some background as to who I am and how I got into the space. But I'm just going to kind of get right into it, right? there's really three problems that I feel, the info space and then the growth op space is experiencing right now as we end off 2025 going into 2026. The first one being there's just a lot of fake GOs, a lot of fake growth operators. And it's not that they're fake growth operators. It's just that I believe there's a lot of people online making it like they're presenting the business model to be easy. They're presenting it to be like easy to get into and that anyone can do it, when quite frankly that's not the case. Like not everybody can actually do growth operating, and I'm not saying that because I feel like I'm the best. I'm really not. There's so many people that are just running laps around me and the results that I'm getting, like they're just completely shitting on me in that area. But like there's so many people that are like just making it seem to be like super easy to get into. So then these, ex sales reps, people that cash collect a couple $1,000s, or people that just feel like they could do this without actually knowing any systems or like processes or anything like that, come into the space. They convince people to sign up with them, and they one just ruin the overall reputation for like growth operators that actually get the clients results. They make it a lot harder for growth operators that actually get people results to make a name for themselves in the space. Not that it's hard to make a name for yourself in the space, but like it just there's just a lot more skepticism now when you're approaching creators to sign them as your client. You're DMing them and stuff because everybody's doing it. But just because everybody's doing it doesn't mean everybody should do it, right? And so I think that's a big problem, right? But I think it's also very easy to identify like a beginner growth operator and a fake growth operator, because they always approach with like the simplest solutions, right? Like I'm sure if you're running your own info product right now, you probably have gotten tons of, and even if you're a growth operator and you have access to your clients' accounts, right? Some of you guys know what I'm talking about. You'll see the DMs coming in, and they're just like, "Oh, if you had a funnel and you had a setter and you had a closer, you'd make more money." Like, no shit, like that's the simplest, most like obvious solution, right? Like, yes, I'm most info product owners know that. It's the problem of actually executing on it and like the certainty they need to be able to enter into that situation. Like that's really your job as a growth operator, to provide the creator certainty that you know what you're doing and they can comfortably walk in that direction you're asking them to walk into. But giving them such a vague like, oh, this is what it, if you do this, this is what can make you more money. Like it doesn't really help you at all, right? It doesn't really allow you to position yourself as the authority figure. It doesn't show that you're credible. And I think that's one of the plain like signs, like easiest signs you can tell a fake growth op is because they approach with just like such vagueness, just like the simplest shit ever, right? And that's why I always tell people, because people will tell me like, how do I sign my first client if I'm a beginner growth operator, or how do I sign my first info client that has the potential of doing multiple six figures if I don't have any results? Then you need to heavily focus on positioning yourself as the authority figure and showcasing the amount of knowledge that you have in this space. For example, like I just said, if you're actually knowledgeable and you actually know what to do, you just don't have the opportunity, meaning the client, and you've never had the client, but you know exactly what to do, and you have access to the systems to be able to build things out and show people, if not just buy a Go High Level account so you can start playing around. But when you approach people, you need to actually showcase them something that allows you to position yourself as the authority figure and someone with max amount of knowledge. So, for example, instead of being the growth operator that approaches creators with like, oh, you should, add a funnel and add a setter and add a closer, like the simplest shit, you would show them like, hey, this is what you're doing now and these are the gaps, like actually screenshots and showing them the gaps, and then this is how we fix it. And you build them the solution, you build them the funnel, you build them the automations, you script out example content ideas, whatever you're trying to pitch them on, you have to actually show them it done for them, right? A lot of people talk against custom like Loom videos and custom outreach videos, but I believe those are heavily going to help you if you have zero case studies. If you have zero case studies, zero results, you can't really make an evergreen Loom video. You don't have shit to show, right? But if you once you do stack results and you do stack up case studies, then you can make an evergreen loop video, I believe. But everybody's gonna have a different opinion, right? But that's how you should approach people when you don't have any results and you don't have like really any case studies and you're trying to sign your first client, right? And you have the knowledge. You get the knowledge by going through YouTube University, right? You watch as many YouTube videos as you can. Try to do as much as you can. Invest into courses. Being completely honest with you, I've probably spent maybe like around maybe $10,000 on courses. That's really only like 2 or 3 courses, honestly. I've been in a bunch of free ones, um, but yeah, like it really does pay to surround yourself with people that are already getting the results that you want to get. And I know if you're watching this video, I already know that you understand that and you believe in that, and you probably already have invested into programs, if not looking to do so, to better your skills or to better your program if you're running your own, right? So that's the first problem. Second problem is bad creators, right? I'm sure we've all seen it. If you're actively in the growth ops space, if you're actively running your own info offer, you've seen it, right? Like there's so many bad creators out there. Like there's stories of people not being paid, right? Like so many. I mean, you guys have seen the story of Sam Millsap. I'm not going to go into it, but if you're on X, you know what I'm talking about. If you know Jace England, you know what I'm talking about. Like he talks about it so openly. Just go to his page and figure it out. But there's a lot of stories of creators not paying their sales teams, not paying the GOs. GOs coming in and just messing up people's businesses, right? That ties back into the first problem, right? Like if you're a naive info product owner and you just are, I mean, not even really naive, bro. If you're just vulnerable looking for the solution and some fake GO catches you at the right time and you buy into their offer, and now you're stuck with this GO that doesn't really know shit and they're just messing up your business, right? Like that can turn you into a bad creator, right? Like it's a huge problem, right? And I think there's so many things that cause and create a bad creator, like a bad info product owner. Um, but I think that just as a whole, right? That's just too prominent of a problem for so many different reasons. Sometimes the GO has control, right? They can help the creator better the situation. Sometimes they can't, and it's completely reliant on the creator. And sometimes you're just working with a shitty creator and they don't actually really care. Maybe they're in it for the money, right? And you kind of just lose that control because obviously you can't force anybody to do anything, right? I'm not going to go into specifics, but like if you're actually a growth operator scaling clients, like I'm sure you already know, there's so many situations that you'll find yourself into where you're just kind of banging your head up against the wall because you're working with a difficult creator, right? So bad creators. And then how do you let me stop there. How do you know if you're signing a bad creator, right? I think one, you have to do your due diligence on the offer itself. Like what's the current state of the offer? Like how much actual support does the creator provide to their students? And then like what is the success timeline? Like when a student signs up with this creator, how long does it take for them to actually see the result they're signing up for, right? Like is there any guarantee? Is there any risk removal? That leads me into the next section too, right? I believe the third problem is the lack of attention to prospects, right? The people that you're actually signing up to the coaching programs. I believe there's a huge lack of attention to that. I think not enough people talk about how to actually, take care of that part of the business. That's retention, right? Like if you're not really putting attention to retention, right? Then you're going to find yourself in a situation where you're just like, you're constantly you're starting from zero every month because you're constantly like, damn, like we have to sign new students and new students and new students and new students. And it's like that with the PIF model. Like if you're running a PIF model coaching business, then you know what I'm talking about. Like obviously you're starting at zero every month. You're just constantly trying to build yourself back up. It's already stressful. So if you're not putting attention to the retention side of the business, like, how much support you give the clients and, what do you do for them? And, or I mean, how much support you give the students and what do you do for them? And how do you make sure they see success? And how do you remove risk from their end and all those things? It's going to make it even more stressful every single month. Right. So, and I'll kind of talk about how to mend that going into 2026 because and let me just be clear too, like when I talk about what am I like how I view things changing going into 2026, like how I view the ways that people can combat these problems. These are just my point of views. I could be completely wrong. I could half-ass be right, I could, be 50%. I really don't know. But that's basically what I'm doing. That's why I'm documenting all this. So that way, if it is wrong, you don't do it. Right. And if it is right, then you do it. Right. And do it at a larger scale, pretty much. So you can make more money than I did. So that's pretty much why I'm documenting this. But moving into 2026, how am I positioning myself and my clients to be able to combat these problems so that way we can make even more money month after month going into 2026 with their coaching programs? So starting off, right, for first and foremost, I believe that, I don't have to worry about the fake GO problem, right? As long as I continuously prove myself to my clients and give them proof of concept to every single idea. Don't just present them something as an idea, present them with like a plan of action and results. And do my due diligence before offering anything or executing anything for my client on my client's behalf. So that way I don't position them, I don't put them in a bad situation. I think as a good GO, right, if that's what you want to call it, if as a good growth operator, as a good info product owner, you should heavily take into consideration your clients and view them as family, because if you do view them as family and you actually like build a relationship with them outside of business, which I try to do, you heavily take into consideration the time and effort spent on things. You don't want to rush things, you don't want to hurt those people, you don't want to waste their money, and I think that's the opposite of a fake GO. That's the opposite of a bad GO. I think fake GOs and bad GOs don't really put that much intention into what they do in their outreach, in their clients, or in anything, right? And so I think being a good info product owner, you should have heavy intention in all the plans, the processes, anything that you plan on executing going into 2026. Really map it out in detail and understand it, and make sure your team's all in like the same alignment, right? Because that's super big too. And then number two is obviously bad creators. I feel like I work with great people. I work with great people. I feel like at times we can butt heads, but that's the beauty of a relationship. You're supposed to butt heads and take into consideration everybody's point of view and ideas. But my clients have a general respect for me and they trust me. And I trust my clients, and we see eye to eye on that, and I believe that's why I don't really work with bad creators, and I don't view my clients as bad creators either. um, and then lack of attention to prospects. So this is something that we really put attention to. Like, how are we structuring our done for you and done with you offers? What are like the most what are the biggest roadblocks for the prospects? What keeps them from moving? What keeps them from seeing results? What holds them back, right? And then mapping all of those things out for every single one of my offers, and then really understanding how can we create an offer that takes care of majority of all of that, so the timeline that they see success and the risk that is on their end is short to nothing, right? And I believe that's what good GOs do. That's what good info product owners do, is they put heavy attention to the prospects and making sure that the offer is created in the benefit of the prospect and not in the benefit of the offer owner. Like, the offer owner should benefit because they're getting paid for it, but everything done should be in pure intention and benefit for the prospect. Like, we should be looking out for the best, case scenario. What happens in the worst case scenario, and how do we protect the prospect, right? How do we guarantee their success? And if they don't see success, how do we help them, right? And then also too, if you have a strong guarantee, then it is your job as the growth operator, the info product owner collectively, to put a process in place for service delivery to make sure that you don't ever have to pay that guarantee. Like, you don't have to pay that money back, whatever. Like, you actually have good service delivery and you provide great results to your clients. So you don't have to worry about that. You can confidently go into those situations offering that, right? And then one thing that I want to talk about too is like, what am I using going into 2026 for my clients? This is not the only things you could use going into 2026. There's so many ways to scale a coaching offer, a client, an info product, whatever. This is just what I'm doing. I am using webinars going into 2026 strategically. I believe Jeremy Haynes dropped a video on like how to map out your year if you want to hit $1 million months. Obviously, use those accordingly, but referencing to that, I might show you what my calendar looks like in another video, but I'm definitely using webinars for my clients. I'm definitely using VSL funnels for consistent traffic for all my clients. I believe that we can get upwards to multiple six figures a month with just a solid VSL funnel to a booked call. And then obviously a super dialed in sales team. I've really been trying to work on that as well. I hired a sales manager before the end of this year as well. I already brought him on. He's already been with me for a handful of months. So that's something that I'm also heavily utilizing going into 2026 is just better skilled people, having better skilled people around me to scale the clients that I have. um, YouTube, using YouTube heavily as like a conversion mechanism, because we're in a trust recession, right? Everybody's selling a course, everybody's selling a mentorship program. So how can you position yourself and your client in this marketplace that's really heavily saturated in a lot of different niches? So that's basically what we're doing. We're using YouTube as a trust lever so that way we can convert people in long form content. And just doubling down. Not nothing crazy. We're not really adding nothing. The only new thing that we're adding is YouTube. That's it. And I believe everybody that uses YouTube going into 2026 is going to make the most money. Whether you're a growth op, whether you're running your own info product yourself, I believe that to be true. So again, could be wrong, but I definitely believe it to be true. There's a lot of people making a lot of money on YouTube, and I'm sure you guys watching this can agree. So that's what we're doing heading into 2026, making sure all the metrics are dialed in, like our show rate, our close rate, making sure we're putting the right pre-call assets in front of these prospects for the sales call. Really just making sure my sales manager is doing what he needs to do. We got the right people on the sales team, really building company culture this next year, really trying to build company culture, really trying to get the right people in the circle. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's exactly what I have planned going into 2026. So going to be posting probably like once or twice a week here on YouTube. Again, just completely raw, non-edited videos breaking down either just specific subjects on the info and growth operating space, or maybe just documenting some launches that we did that did really well or did really shitty. Again, I'm trying to use this channel to be fully raw, fully transparent with you guys, so you can either avoid the mistakes that I make or follow the good things that I do and help me build on them. And obviously, we can help each other. So drop a comment, drop a like, subscribe to the channel if you have not. Yeah, if you need help with anything also as well. Again, don't really want to make this like a trying to sell you type of thing. But obviously, I know there are people struggling out there. There are people that do need help. So if you do run your own info product and you would like help from me and my team, you don't have a growth operator, maybe you feel like your growth operator is doing a shitty job, I can come in and kind of consult a little bit. Or if you're a growth operator yourself watching this video, right, and you're like, damn, I kind of want to start implementing this shit, I kind of need some help, I want to be around this guy, whatever the case may be, I have a lot to share. You can go into my Instagram and get a lot of value from just those videos there. If not, just subscribe, because I'm going to continue to drop valuable videos every single week. But until then, I hope you guys stay safe. God bless. Have a great day and just continue to make more money. Take care.